Hey YouTube, it's me, King Nazru. I'm here to give my thoughts on some of the things that have been going on this summer, such as movies, uh, mangas, and animes that I've watched and read, and upcoming video games and their respective consoles. So let's kick off with, well, this might be old news by now, but let's start with Iron Man 3. When I first saw the trailers for Iron Man 3, I thought this is finally going to be what the Dark Knight Rises should have done. It's going to be Dark Knight Rises, but good this time. And it's better than the Dark Knight Rises, um, but it's still not all that great. It's okay. I did like this whole message about how Iron Man lost everything, um, his home, his girl, almost losing his girlfriend, almost losing his best friend, well, second best friend, his all of his armors, and all he has to do is rely on his intellect and his resourcefulness to defeat the Mandarin. Well, but here's the problem. Okay, uh, they contradicted that aspect in the movie uh, by the whole theme of "I am Iron Man, me and the suit are one." By at the end, he he basically quits being Iron Man by having all of his armor self-destruct to show that Pepper, I'm gonna be there for you. I'm gonna be there, spend more time with you, and then he removes the arc reactor from his chest. And uh, and removes all the shrapnels from it. Now, this did happen in the comics, and Tony did find a new way to power his Iron Man suit. But I do have a question: if it was so easy to get Iron Man's uh, heart saved from the shrapnel, why didn't he do this in the first movie? Uh, I mean, seriously, that's a huge gaping plot hole. And that would go back to what everyone's discovered by now, the Mandarin plot twist. So the Mandarin, instead of being a Chinese tyrant with 10 alien rings of power that make him virtually a god, uh, we get a fake out villain, much like Bane, where in The Dark Knight Rises, instead of being the badass criminal mastermind that breaks Batman's back and did things like take over the city, release all the criminals, uh, we got some henchman that was working for Talia al Ghul and uh, had a pit and was basically a pedophile since he loved her since she was a little girl. Uh, Now we have the Mandarin is basically one is this druggy actor named Trevor, and who was just covering up for this other guy, Audrey Killiam, who was working on the extremist project, and it's part of this whole message of, I think corporations are the real evil of this world, and everybody's too busy to figure this out because they'll keep focusing on the terrorists or some stupid mess like that. And when you really watch the movie, it really doesn't connect together. How does this? None of his attacks have to do with exposing corporations as evil. Uh, and when you find out his real motive, it's just because he's a disgruntled employee who got shrugged off by Tony when he was approaching him with the invitation to AIM, and Tony was just decided to ditch him so he could bang a girl. It was back before he became Iron Man. Uh, and they try to. And Roger Killiam in the comics, in the Extremis arc, that was the only time he was any. That was the only time he was relevant. I mean, and by the end of it, he committed suicide out of guilt. But no, in the movie, thanks to Shane Black, he has to be the main villain and shoot, breathe fire. And no, that wasn't part of the extremist effects either. So thanks for that, Shane Black. And the most disrespectful part was when he says to Tony, "You want the Mandarin? I am the Mandarin." Unless you have 10 alien rings of godlike powers and believe that in your superiority and in your Chinese philosophies, you are not the Mandarin. So I give it like a 6 out of 10 overall. What's next? Oh right, Man of Steel. Man of Steel. I like it. I did like the fresh new take on Superman and his story. Uh, and like unlike the original Richard Donner, whoever worked on it, movies, uh, this was tightly focused on Superman and his story, not making subplots about Lois Lane or uh, overusing Lex Luthor or all the camp or add all the campiness in that story that led to all those elements leading up to plot holes. Uh, it really focuses on Superman and his struggle between what he wants to be, what kind of man does he wish to be, and should he choose between his home on Earth or fulfilling his legacy to I mean, staying attached to his legacy on Krypton. And and I really like the how they Michael Shannon did General Zod. I really like this. I mean, it's not like Terrence Stamp's General Zod with this whole elitism thing, where he felt that the right to rule everything was his birthright because he feels he's better than everyone else. But that Terrence Stamp did a good job with his General Zod. But what I like about Michael Shannon's General Zod is that he um, he had this uh, program when he was born, along with all the other military Kryptonians. You have to watch the movie to get this part. Each Kryptonian is basically assigned with a role, kind of like how ants are. One will be a worker, one will be a leader, one will be a soldier or whatever. So General Zod is actually a soldier, and his prime directive is to protect Krypton and its people. Uh, and he'll do this by any means, even if it has to wipe out an entire species, the human race, to restore Krypton. And when Superman stops his plan, we can see that he's completely broken. It's like all I've done was for the good of Krypton. No matter how cruel or how violent I've been, it was all for the good of my people, and now I have nothing. And that I really like villains like that. Unlike most comic book movie villains where they're just evil for the sake of being evil, or they have some really lame motive. I can really relate to this, and we can see how why they would do this. And I feel villains should be more like this. Like the I haven't liked the villain this good since the Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man, where all he does is trying to help people, even though he's going too far with it with his lizard serum. Uh, and what I really and I know a lot of people complain about the collateral damage that Superman caused with his fight against Zod and his fellow Kryptonians. Uh, but honestly, I think that's gonna play a part in the story where probably Lex Luthor will probably uh, try to twists these events that happen in the Man of Steel against Superman. Says that he's too powerful and dangerous to be trusted. We need to come up with our own weapons to beat Superman if he ever goes rogue and tries to take over. And this will probably make Superman realize that he messed up. He was a rookie back when he tried to save the Earth, uh, and he's got to learn to do better than that in the next movie. And then again, with the recent news that apparently Man of Steel is going to be called uh, Superman meets Batman, that I'm not sure that'll fit in. So yeah, uh, next Superman movie is going to feature Batman. And how does DC announce this? They use a quote from The Dark Knight Returns when Batman uh, has Superman in his neck between his hands, and basically says he wants him to remember that he was the one that beat him, even though he had Superman was holding back, and Batman had help from Green Arrow. So yeah, you really didn't beat Superman. Oh, and also the fight ended with Batman getting a heart attack. So yeah, that proves that he didn't beat Superman really. But back to Superman meets Batman. I have this very, very bad feeling that they're going to try to make this the usual trope of Batman's going to be there and he's going to upstage Superman, and if they have a fight, that Batman's going to beat Superman, and it's going to be really, really disrespectful. Uh, we should not be borrowing from Frank Miller's stories, because Frank Miller doesn't get Superman. I mean, he tries to portray him as this uh, uber Boy Scout that'll lead. It's pretty much a half glass full. I mean, a glass half full kind of guy, and will easily be manipulated into being a government puppet. And that's not Superman at all. He is a kind person. He's compassionate, and he believes in his principles. He will never ever compromise in them. So that and what I don't want to see a Superman versus Batman movie, because it's just going to be done for the popularity and just have Batman beat Superman like that in Justice Gods Among Us thing they had on YouTube where they voted and it was just up to Batman versus Superman and Batman won. And how the Hub have it with who's your favorite superhero? They chose Batman. This is really starting to make me hate Batman. I mean, I won't hate Batman, but I just hate the overratedness of his character. How people try to hype him up as the ultimate badass. He can do anything because he's Batman. No. What I want is to see a Superman Batman movie where they cross paths. Uh, they can have a little strife if it's necessary, but I want it to end in a draw. And throughout the movie, I want them to gain respect for each other and become friends. And I still think they can have Lex Luthor in there. They could, uh, he could probably be working with Batman on something. They could probably have something to do with making a contingency plan for Superman. But so, just just don't make it Superman versus Batman. I'm so sick of that. Let's see, what's next? I think the next thing that comes to mind is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. Oh boy, was that a lackluster movie. I mean, where do I even begin? The story is loosely adapted from the from the storybooks in of the same name, but that's to be expected. But not this loose. Uh, I can't remember if Luke, the main villain, or sub main villain Luke was in there, but he is. But like all the other actors, he is so bland. He's not even trying to emote. I mean, this is the exact same blank emotion you get from Bella. Okay, let me show you something. So you talked to my dad, and he says he wants to be with me, and he didn't have the guts to tell me this right in front of my face. Yeah, yeah, it's that bland. Huh. Forget Russell Crowe, forget Kevin Costner, and this this guy is really bland. Uh, let's see what else. The acting was bland. Uh, I think they took a loose adaptation from the story. The special effects were, they were okay. I really did like the design of the Cyclops though. Uh, and they put in too many. I think they put too many pop culture references. I'm sorry about that. I got allergies right now. Especially with the satyr. I forget what his name was. Uh, he always pops in like a culture reference, like he'll mention a song or some kind of popular phrase at the time. It's so out of place. Just stop adding. I would stop adding pop culture references and just focus on telling a good story. So, what do I give? Uh, I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Now let's move on to video games. Uh, no. Before we move to video games, I'm gonna talk about another movie, Pacific Rim. Now, there, there was a good movie. Uh, it was, it's like you said, it's basically Power Rangers for adults, and that is awesome. Uh, I really like the story of how we're in a post-apocalypse, well, close to coming to post-apocalypse, and we have to fight giant monsters, kaiju's, which is it's kind of like the same creatures as Godzilla. And no, you won't see Godzilla in this movie, nor will you see a trailer for it, which is stupid because this is the perfect movie to promote the new Godzilla movie that's coming out. And we basically fight them with giant mechs that has the pilots share memories with, so they can better coordinate with them and pilot the giant mechs better. And I thought that was a really good premise. And one thing I really like this movie for is that there is no love interest. Finally, there's a movie that proves that you can have a good movie without the obligatory love interest. Uh, uh, is the effects are great. Story is well done. The characters have very interesting arcs and well developed. The action is stupendous. I will give this movie a 10 out of 10. I hear it's not doing so well in the box office, but that mainly because I think Guillermo del Toro, who was the director, tried to keep this as secret as possible, and that probably hurt the box office records. So, but overall, I'll still give it a 10 out of 10. Now we move on to games. Right, so we just recently got the announcement of the PS4, Xbox One, and the no wait, we already got the Wii U. Unless they're doing something different with the Wii U, that's basically it. And I'm really liking what they're doing with the PS4. I'm naturally I'm a PS fan, uh, and we already got word about Kingdom Hearts 3. Really looking forward to that game. The graphics are almost lifelike. They're almost reaching the point where we can actually see some models that look close to real life, and uh, they really upgraded the memory with because they had this one clip where you could show millions of tiny objects on the screen and it won't hinder the frame rate. Sorry. Uh, and I really like the design. It's very sleek. Uh, and there's also added components that is going to help with help you record your gameplay, so you don't need it to buy extra opponents. I mean extra components with it. It'll just be there with the PS4. I also like the design of the controller where it has this mini touchscreen to it, and I feel that's a really interesting design. I can't wait to see how that plays out. Oh, excuse me. Uh, but now heading on to the Xbox One side, it just looks the console looks uh, big, heavy, um, and very generic. And I've heard that things that you need to be online to play the video games. Uh, that's a really, really stupid move. I don't like the look of the controller. It's bland. Uh, they're just and the games. I haven't heard anything of note about the Xbox game because I wasn't paying much attention after I've seen all the horrible things about it. Uh, Most likely it's the only thing they're gonna have is like Gears of War. Never played it since I don't have an Xbox, and another Halo game, which is like I've always said, you played one Halo game, you played them all. I really hit my allergies. So yeah, if things keep coming up with this, Xbox One is going to be a complete disaster. So basically, Xbox time is over. PS4 and Wii U's time has begun. And a lot of, and like I said before, I'm really looking forward to Kingdom Hearts 3. We're finally concluding the Xehanort arc. You'll have to check out Kingdom Hearts story if you want to know about that. And uh, I think some other game I was looking for was the Elder Scroll Online. Uh, it's a I'm gonna see what they're gonna take with this multiplayer thing for the first time in the Elder Scrolls series. Uh, but this one thing I have complained about multiplayer is that I think it's really, really, really stupid that you cannot pause the game. Like whenever I'm playing and my mom needs me to do something for her, like bake her some cookies, uh, I have to immediately exit out of the game just to take care of that. And I don't know whose idea was it, but they should be hit right in the face for that stupid idea for not adding a pause function. And don't tell me that it's not possible to do it, because I have a game, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, that allows you to pause during multiplayer. So I know it's possible, so make it happen. Wait, what was I? Elder Scrolls Online. Uh, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. See, I really like Skyrim. I like the lore, the the various types of freedom and main and side quests you could do, and you could spend hundreds of hours playing it. You always see, and when you think you've figured out everything, there's always something new to there. So I hope to get that same experience with that. And naturally, I'm sure eventually there's going to be a God of War 4. And if you know me, I am a I'm a huge God of War fan. That is my favorite game series. I love Greek mythology. I love the puzzles, how they make you think, but they're not all that challenging and complex. Uh, and I like the tragic story of Kratos and how he's becomes the very personification of being a badass uh, def- by defeating the Olympians and destroying anything that's anything to do with Greek mythology. So yeah, I think if there is when God of War 4 comes out, they'll probably go to Norse mythology or Egyptian mythology, as they explained. Uh, in the when they were making God of War 1, because that's what they were interested in doing once they completed Kratos' trilogy. Let's see what's next. Let's talk about some anime and manga. Uh, so one manga I really like to promote is Rosario Vampire. Now, after I read the my last chapter of Naruto back in what was like 2 or 3 years ago, and it was basically as stupid as all hell. Uh, Naruto was showing regression in character development. Uh, Taji was being promoted as the only guy who could save everyone. Uh, Sa- uh, Sasuke a psych was being a iconic man child as usual. Uh, the uh, the war arc was becoming really one-sided. It was really stupid. But I digress. Uh, so I basically said, no, I'm done with this. And I was scrolling around the forums to see what manga I could look for, and I saw this one guy talking about Rosario Vampire, the manga, and I decided to check it out. And first chapter, I was hooked. I mean, I this is a you don't see stories like this very often, especially with things like Bleach or Naruto or let's see, what's another bad manga? I hear fairy tales being subpar now, but I won't uh, I won't judge it for that since I don't know anything about it. I really like the I really like that even though it's a harem anime, it can have a very serious story, great character development with Skune Aono being this average kid that gets with so-so grades, getting in, accidentally getting enrolled into a school for monsters, and he befriends this vampire, a succubus, two witches, a snow woman, and they all, and actually, naturally as a harem, they all have feelings for him. They try to compete for him, but it doesn't. Unlike the anime that took severe liberties with the manga, they still can tell a serious story, uh, like the personal strifes. That plague the characters, like Mocha being alone, uh, her being separated from her sisters, her mom. No, I'm not gonna spoil that because that's a really good story plot in the manga. So I really recommend it. Great story, great characters, very funny, but yet doesn't strive from its serious tone. Uh, Another good anime I like is Tenchi Muyo War in Geminar. It's a real, it's like the what third uh Tenchi Tenchi series. That has to do with the original Tenchi Muyo anime, and it's basically about his uh brother Kenshi, and I I know it seems a bit like Gundam with these I think they call it sacred mecha lords, and but I find it to be a very interesting concept how it's different from just being constant space battles, and Kenshi's really likable. He's nice, very helpful, um, uh, very good natured, and the girls are all have very interesting characters such as Aura Sorceress. I can't really pronounce her name. Her last name. She's noble, loyal, but she's kind of has this timid nature to, I mean, timid, vulnerable nature to her when she, let's see, what was, how did they explain it? When during the daytime, because she's on a different planet or something, that she gets very timid and vulnerable. But that which makes it more engaging to her character. So that's and I really like this aspect of how how it's we're taking time to focus on a new character besides Tenchi, and I hope that if they make a season 2 to Warren Gemini that we'll have some cameos from the original Tenchi Muyo series, and that is really. Now let's see what else can I talk about. Oh yeah, going back to video games, um, the Bandai and this new company I've heard of called I think Artelink just about said they're gonna do a new Dragon Ball Z game called Dragon Ball Z Battle of Z, and it's looking really promising. It's based off the Dragon Ball Z Battle Zenkai Royale, which was this arcade game exclusive to Japan. Uh, it was basically you can have up to 4 players fighting at once, and it's pretty much like a battle royale. You're flying around the whole world. Uh, doing fluent key blast, flying, punches and kicks, doing the whole thing. You know what Dragon Ball Z is like, and I think it's a really interesting take on it because Battle Z is gonna uh, take what they did with the 4 player thing and amp it up with up to 8 players at once on the screen. Now, yes, you can do single player. You don't have to uh, do multiplayer for the story mode or any of the battle teams. And I really and it really seems good that they're taking art styles inspirations from the manga and trying to mix it in with how it was in the anime. I think that's a pretty interesting take on how the characters look, and I'm really looking. And one huge feature about the game, is that there's going to be the first console introduction to well, for us in the America and Europe and whatever, for the first introduction to Super Saiyan God from Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods, uh, which is the movie that aired in Japan, which uh, Goku became a god to fight the main villain Bills. So that means that it's going to not only is it going to go from Saiyan Saga to Boo Saga, we're going to see the addition of Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods. Despite Funimation not having dubbed it yet, they're going to they said in an interview that they're really looking forward to dubbing the game. So they're already looking for voice actors for Bills and his master Whis, and they say if that goes well, they'll probably uh, use those voice actors for when they do Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods. So I really now one thing that really bothers me is that how DBZ fans have very mixed reactions. How they don't like it because it's not like Budokai Tenkaichi 3 or Budokai 3, or they should be working on Raging Blast 3, and it's gonna be the next Ultimate Tenkaichi. And I said, guys, calm down. We know very little about this, so let's all give it a chance. It's all looking very promising. You might even liking this better than any of those games. Uh, this is this is the problem why we don't get very good DBZ games anymore, because we constantly complain about what they did wrong, and we don't take the time to say, list what they did right, so Bandai, whatever company that's working with them, can take those elements that were good and combine them into one single game so we can finally get our perfect DBZ game. I mean, I'm gonna kick myself for this, but even Naruto fans are better than this. I mean, at least they take the time to say what they liked about the previous games, and so the developers can work off that and improve it on the next game. And I use the term loosely since Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 through 3 is pretty much all the same game. I mean, just with additional stories. But I digress. So overall, summer's been it's been pretty good. I mean, it's had its ups and downs with Mandarin, Percy Jackson, but we had the goods with Man of Steel and Pacific Rim. Uh, wait, before I close off, uh, uh, we really, we recently we just got the leaked trailer for the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and even though the imagery is blurry and I'm still waiting for the official release with the HD quality, it looks really promising. I loved the Amazing Spider-Man movie, and I really and what's going to be different here is that it's going to have a lighter tone, so everybody who's going to complain that it's too dark, it's going to be like the Batman trilogy, even though there even though people read the comics, Spider-Man did have dark stories in them. Uh, it's going to be more like the mainstream comics where it has a lighter tone, but not too campy like Sam Raimi's uh, Spider-Man trilogy. Hi. Uh, this This will be the Spider-Man 2 that I will love, unlike Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Oh my god, I hate that movie. Okay, back to Amazing Spider-Man 2. It basically starts off with him chasing, stopping a police chase, and this is where he encounters Alexei Stitovich, which is the alias of the Rhino. And while he's stopping him, he comes across Max Dillon, who is this played by Jamie Foxx, and he's basically like this down on his luck scientist or electrician, and he feels like he's a nobody. Uh, when Spider-Man saves his life and tells him that he's a don't ever think you're a nobody, you're my eyes and ears. He thinks that he's he begins to admire Spider-Man and thinks that he's his personal partner. And then we later on in the scenes we see that he becomes Electro due to the accident at Oscorp, and he gets shot by electric eels. Called it. Totally called it that electric eels was going to be part of his origins, and I really love that part where he says, "Yes, a world without mercy, a world without power." I really love that line. It's really reflective on his how he wants to show what it's like to be in his world, where you're powerless and nobody even acts like you exist. So this is really going to be one of those villains that we can actually where he's very interesting because yes, he's a very threatening villain, but we can also see how he came this way, how he thinks like this, and I really like villains like that, and not just these generic villains like I'm gonna be evil just for the sake of it. Uh, there was I also saw some parts where they said uh, how Gwen Stacy says she says she loves Spider-Man, but she loves Peter more, and I wanted to see how that goes. Maybe she wants Peter to find a way to spend more time as Peter and less on being Spider-Man. And we also got to see Harry Osborn and his father Norman, and he really does look sick. Sick. I mean, from what the trailer could show, but you can definitely tell he's sick and he's dying because he's in his bed. imparting some uh, heartfelt message to his son. So, yeah, yeah, and then we cut off. Then there was another scene where Electro is absorbing all the electricity from the city, and he's basically causing a blackout, and destruction's happening. And it finally ends with Spider-Man catching a car uh, right before it's about to crush a guy, and he makes his puns. Oh yeah, oh yeah, this is really, really looking promising. I think I'm really gonna love Amazing Spider-Man 2 just like I loved the first movie. So, the bottom line, despite the ups and downs that summer has given us, there seems to be a lot of promising things coming our way. We got Kingdom Hearts 4, Amazing Spider-Man 2, God of War 4, uh, the upcoming Godzilla movie, where they had this Comic Con San Diego thing where you got to see Godzilla for the first time in his CGI rendering, and he looks amazing. Very, very threatening. I, I have very strong faith for this movie. Uh, yeah. So, yeah, this really, really shows a lot of promise what's going to be happening later on this year and what's going to happen in 2014. So I already started preparing myself by pre-ordering my PS4, and I suggest you guys do the same by pre-ordering whatever things you want for this year and next year. So this is King Nazru signing off.